So you want to make a D&D character that is good and not bad, one that is interesting but still fun to play, or maybe just a character that your friends won't point and laugh at and stop inviting you to parties. The key is your character's personality. I can't tell you the number of times that I've gotten to a table with an idea of something that I thought was gonna be good and fun, and it is just trash. It is terrible. It's no fun to play, it's no fun to be around, and I'm stuck in a long campaign, so I guess we're just vibing. I don't know, I guess we just gotta kind of stick around and do this. So that's why I made the character backstory cheat sheet. It is an outline to help you kind of flesh out the idea of your character before you actually play them. I have a whole nother video on that, but in that, there's a section on personality. And the personality section is the first thing you work on because it's really the core of your character. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to give you guys the 5 traps that I think a lot of new D&D players fall into when they make their first D&D character, or even their 20th, because they're things that are so easy to fall into. But first, why make an interesting character if you're not gonna put them in an interesting setting, like the new Kickstarter, The Wandering Tavern? This Studio Ghibli-inspired city in the sky has a ton of shit. Listen to this. They've got 33 NPCs, 30 interconnected plot hooks, 6 new Sky Zephyrs, 18 magical items, 23 unique locations, 7 illegal trades, 13 setting-themed recipes, 3 downtime games, 4 new celebrations and holidays, and 15 giant battle maps. What more could you want? Step into one of the city's many luxurious establishments, or find yourself in the city's seedy underbelly. Pick a side in the automaton uprising, or just discover the mysteries of the city's magical spirits. This book has so much in it, and I am genuinely so excited to run it in my own campaign. And the people over at The Homie and the Dude, the people putting on the Kickstarter, have just been wonderful people, just so nice. So if you want to support third party, this is definitely the way to do it. You can check out the Kickstarter link down in the description or in the comments. Go give it a look, see if it catches your fancy. I think it will. All right, back to the video. So the first trap that I think a lot of people fall into is that they don't have a clear personality. They don't really know who their character is. And that is fair because people are complex and it is difficult to be someone other than ourselves, especially when you have to maintain it over like multiple sessions, or when moments surprise you and you haven't thought of how your character might react, but you have to react immediately. The way to fix this is to give your character a main personality trait. This is the core of your character and it's something to build out from. It's what someone might think about you if they only talk to you for a few moments. So the example that I like to use as a main personality trait is overly polite or Midwestern polite. It gives me something to fall back on whenever I don't know what to do. I just, oh, sorry, my bad. Didn't mean to startle you there. I'm just gonna slip by, you know, take ownership, apologize. I get to always fall back on that. And then if I have something better to do in my mind or I have more complexity, I can add that. But I always have this core of who this person is. It's very easy for me to role play at the table. I don't have to overthink it. I know what an overly polite person would do. Of course, you don't want to turn it into a one-trick pony. You want to give it some complexity. So that's why I always say you should add other personality traits, which leads us to our second trap. The second trap that I think a lot of people fall into is that they choose passive personality traits for their main personality or otherwise. And it's the hobbitism. It's the saying no and not wanting to go on the adventure, having to be dragged along. And while characters like that make great movie characters and great book characters, they make terrible D&D characters. You don't have the inner monologue or the exposition around a movie or a book that you get in D&D. You only have being at the table and being able to engage. If you want to have more fun in D&D, choose a character that is more involved in impacting and moving the story along. That's what we're doing. We're doing improv, right? It's not no, maybe, it's yes and, so you can continue to decide what happens next. So the way to fix passive personality traits is very obvious. It's choose active personality traits. Try to avoid being quiet and reserved and a homebody, and literally pick anything else that will move the story along. You can even choose being a homebody, but make sure it's in conflict with where your character's at. They are far away from home and they just ache and want to go home. So now they have a reason to move the story along and try to push it in a certain direction. Literally anything. Just anything that makes your character have a want and a desire instead of them just saying, no, I don't want to, I'm gonna stay here and you can't make me do anything. You know, it just doesn't play out the way you'd hope. Of course, there's exception to the rules, but I think it's a pretty safe assumption that you're gonna have more fun if you choose engaging characters instead of passive characters. The third trap that I think a lot of people fall into is having vague personality traits. They think it's going to give their character a lot of like subtlety and complexity, but all it does is make it very difficult to actually roleplay your character at the table because you haven't given yourself anything substantial to bite onto. For example, a trait I gave one of my characters was a heart of gold. Yeah, it means I'm going to be a good guy, but in general it's very vague and doesn't give me any clear indication of how my character should be. So instead, I decided to give myself 2 actionable traits instead of this one. I turned heart of gold into generous and leaves things better than he finds them. This gives me something to actually choose to do when I'm role playing. So if a beggar comes up to me and asks for coin, I can give him the shirt off my back. Or if we're in a bar fight and we knock over a bunch of tables and chairs, well, I'm gonna put them back in the right place, bring the cups back up to the counter, you know, leave a tip. I'm gonna leave things better than I found them. Those are actionable and easy to role play, where the vague ones didn't really help me and give me any insight. So make sure you're choosing something that makes it clear what you're trying to do with your character. So if you have a main personality trait, active traits, and actionable traits, it's gonna be a breeze to actually role play at the table. So now we have a good understanding of how to do our personality, but we're still missing something, and that leads us to trap 4, which is not humanizing our character. Everybody has flaws and fears. Yes, you can still play a badass, but you gotta have some kind of shortcoming, right? No one's perfect. And I think playing flaws is actually way more fun than playing your personality traits, and honestly, much easier. It's way harder to play suave than it is to play awkward, right? When picking flaws, keep in mind a lot of the same things we talked about when we talked about personality traits, which is don't have them be passive or vague, have them be active and actionable. And this is not a job interview, so don't do that thing where you're like, well, actually my weaknesses are strengths. Like, it's okay, just have some flaws. Do try to keep in mind to not pick flaws that will alienate you from your group. Like, you still have to be able to work in a group setting. And for fears, try to make them like tangible things that will actually show up in your campaign. Like, yeah, you could choose existentialism, but I think that's gonna be a lot harder to incorporate into your role play than just like fear of spiders, you know? The 5th trap is a trap that happens while you're playing and not as much while you're planning, and that is not allowing your character to adapt, right? Having an idea of a character versus actually playing that character is 2 very different experiences. The number of times that I thought I was gonna be able to play a personality trait or a flaw a certain way, but it just doesn't manifest itself that way when I'm actually doing it, I have to allow myself that change and that adjustment of his story in my head. Same with like the campaign tone. Maybe it doesn't match what I thought the character was gonna be, or even the group vibe. I thought I was gonna slot in as the comedic heel, but now I end up being like the group parent, that kind of thing. So allowing yourself to adapt is gonna make it so you can just have so much more fun. Whatever your mind's eye sees versus what you actually do, always different things, and that's okay. So allow yourself that change. I don't think I've had a single character that has been the same from the 1st session to the 5th session, and that's okay. I think it's a good thing, because the goal here is to have the most amount of fun. So just adapt, allow whatever happens naturally to happen, and embrace it. You're gonna have a much better time. And that leads me to my little extra bonus trap, which is don't listen to me or anyone. This is a game of creativity, so don't put yourself in a creative box. If you have an idea that you think is gonna work, go for it. You know, the only way you're gonna find out is by testing it out yourself. There's always exceptions to the rule. So take what you like, leave the rest, and then go from there. Be free, you beautiful, creative dove. Fly. Fly, you beautiful beast. I don't know. That's it, that's all I got. We're at the end. Please, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If this was helpful to you at all, please leave a like. It means a lot to me. And comment down below if there's any other traps that you think people should be trying to avoid. I would love to hear people's opinions. Maybe I can make some adjustments to my character backstory cheat sheet, which also, if you're interested in that, you can check out that video right here. Also check out the Wandering Tavern if you want to see their Kickstarter. They're very cool people, so, you know, at least give it a look. All right, that's all I got. See ya.